So today I want to talk about healing. And I've been seeing a lot of people actually go on this journey and talk about it and be more outwardly expressive about their journey and why they started this journey. I think that's amazing. And for anyone thinking about actually starting a healing journey, I want to talk to you about certain things that happen on this healing journey, things that you should be aware of going into it. This is not to scare you, this is to just give you a heads up because you're in for a ride. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a beautiful one. Comes with some muddiness, but I mean, what else? What doesn't? So this is gonna be a chill talk about healing. I think the number one thing that anyone should know about a healing journey, or a journey just to like talk about some wounds that we have, is that it happens in layers. There's layers to this shit, man. Think about Shrek. Shrek is an onion. Onion got layers. So does healing. No, but there are layers to healing. It's not just understanding why you do something. It's not just talking about a deep-rooted emotion once and it's healed, it's gone, it's checked off the list and done with. It's not just cutting down a rotten tree. It's getting into the dirt and taking those rotten roots out of your lovely garden. And for me, learning this, it was funny because I'm a very tell me what to do person, and I'll do it, a very checklist oriented planning person. So I've been in therapy for 2 years, and going into therapy I was just like, all right, what we gotta do, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Oh, journal, I got journaling. Want me to tell you about this event that happened? Boom, told you about it. We done, we're good. Moving on. Next week my therapist would bring up, well, let's go back to that one event that you talked about, and kind of dissect it. I was like, why we gotta do that for? We did it already, we talked about it already, it's done. And that's not it. Again, these have been rooted in the person you have been for the longest time. So you may address an intense emotion or an event, but it's really about dissecting it, understanding the ins and outs of it, so you don't have to come back to it, so you learn all you need to learn from it and that you process it correctly. Remember, your processing machine, your body, the way you think, you're trying to reprogram it. And so that's why it takes time and many more run-throughs and many more processes to get that feeling through it cleanly. The pain or trauma that you have experienced didn't happen all in one day. It's gonna take more than one day to address it and to actually tackle it. So it happens in layers. Another thing about healing that no one tells you about is you'll start asking yourself why all the time. You'll start questioning why you do this, why you say this, why is this a part of your everything? You really do run on Duncan. No. As humans, we really do run on a routine. We just go through the motions. And with going through the motions, those also can be embedded into different things that we've experienced when we were younger, or different things we experienced in general. So when trying to heal from certain things, it's about stopping a process or a programming that you have had for the longest time, stopping it where it's at and kind of dissecting it and asking, why do I do this? Why is this a part of my daily routine? Why is this behavior something that I do? Where did it come from? Does it serve me? Is it the best thing for me to be doing this? And the healing process just comes with a lot of questioning your everyday life, because obviously up until this point, something hasn't served you, something hasn't been good for you, which is why you've gone into this, healing journey. And it's proactive because you're really trying to dig deep and making sure that what you're doing isn't based on something that has happened in your life prior. Which leads to the next point. You may have an identity crisis. If you watch my videos, you'll see a video that I posted talking about why we're so attached to our anger. And in that video, I kind of explained why a certain emotion or a certain behavior is a part of us, because it has protected us and it has been with us for so long because, again, of a traumatic event that happened when we were younger or just in life in general. We hold on to certain behaviors and certain ways of thinking and acting and certain phrases because it's a part of who we are, not questioning, well, why are they a part of who we are? Does it benefit me for this to be a part of who I am? So in that video, I talked about anger and how the very notion that somebody who is angry gets very offended when you tell them, well, maybe you should try to not be angry anymore and to heal from what is angering you. And I gave the example of somebody hurting them and them always being angry at that person. And with that anger comes protection, because that anger protects us from anybody who comes into our life who tries to hurt us in that way or tries to hurt us in general. So different emotions and behaviors can be a part of who you are, but doesn't mean that's who you are supposed to be. I believe that when we're born, we are born with everything that we need to be successful in this life. And there are societal conditions that change us and conforms us to a different way of living and being. And so the healing process helps us shed those conditionings and shed those events and get us back to who we are. For me, it wasn't necessarily scary, it was just kind of frustrating, because I'm like, well, I've done this all my life. Like, why do I have to change now? And it's because it doesn't serve me. Well, I've done this all my life and it's helped me up until then. Well, has it helped you up until now? And that goes back to questioning everything too. So it's just like one thing on top of the other. And when you heal into a completely different person. You heal into a much lighter person because maybe you're no longer angry and you've learned forgiveness. You heal into a more loving person because you're no longer afraid to be vulnerable with the love that you want to give. You become a more open person because you no longer feel you have to shelter yourself from the world. You heal into a different person for the better. And it's beautiful. But it's hard for a lot of people to do so because of comfort. People are comfortable with who they are and what they've done up into their life. And it's sometimes the unknown of who they're going to be that keeps them in the version of who they are. And to heal, you have to be open to the idea of letting go of everything and who you thought you were. And letting go of the person that you thought you were in this healing process and healing into a new person may also turn into letting go of other things, such as people or places that you have been with for so long. I did a video about environment and how your environment changes and you change, and if your environment isn't too good, well, the way you act and how you live isn't going to be too good at all. And the same thing can be about relationships. There's this thing called trauma bonding, where you connect with people who just happen to have the same traumatic triggers that you may have or have been through the same thing that you have. And I'm not saying the relationships are bad. It's beneficial to find somebody who's been through something that you've been through, because it lets you know that you're not alone, that you're not the only one going through something. However, if you're stuck in a place where you're unhealed and you keep being triggered and having trauma responses and behaving in a way that isn't good for you, and you have relationships with somebody who does the same thing and neither one of you are looking to heal or looking to come out of that, it can be detrimental to the both of you. And so if you're taking a step into healing and actually changing yourself for the better, and you have someone who isn't doing that, that can pretty much hold you back. And so stepping into this journey of becoming a new person who is a little bit lighter, a little bit more loving, less hurt, less sheltered because of bad things that have happened to them, you let go of who you were, and subsequently you let go of the people who kept you there as well. During the past 2 years being in therapy and actually going through a healing journey, I have lost a couple of friends, and I have disconnected from a couple of family members and a couple of places, such as workplaces or just places where I used to just hang out, because they weren't the best for me, and it was heartbreaking. The people and places that I've had fun at, that I've enjoyed thoroughly, and that I wanted to take with me and just like take with me up that mountain, but trying to take these things with you, it holds you back. On the brighter side, relationships can change for the better, and letting go of bad relationships can make room for new and better relationships. And that has also been something happening in my life. I've been finding more people who are going through a healing journey, or who been through a healing journey, and it's continuous. So it's not like I've healed, I'm done, we're good. No, it's just people who are trying to better themselves through different ways, and meeting them and just fellowshipping with them and just talking about the different struggles has been just very heartwarming and very good. So a good part of healing is that you meet new people, and also relationships may change for the better. You may be able to talk things out with them if they hurt you, and you may reconcile and just make the relationship or bonds a little bit deeper. So as always, there's like, I wouldn't say good and bad to healing, but you know, there's levels. There's different levels to this of healing when it comes to it. Lastly, the main thing about healing is it's a homecoming, because I talked about this before. I believe that you're born with everything you need to be successful in this lifetime, and society just conditions us in a different way, to be brought up a different way, to think a different way, to act a different way, that may not be beneficial to who we are supposed to be in this life and in this world. So healing and just shredding all the things that have been on you through your life, that just been piling up, and pretty much the worst way possible, brings you back to who you're supposed to be. It brings you home. It brings you to who you're supposed to be. It's your homecoming, and it's beautiful. Healing and this process of it has been the best thing I've ever done in my life. It has definitely opened my eyes back to things that make me happy, and back to who I'm supposed to be, and loving myself more and understanding myself more. So I think in general, the message is healing is worth it. Here's your chance to get back to who you are, and that's fucking beautiful.